In a world where hustle culture collides with wellness warnings and workplace demands keep evolving, how do we stay sharp without burning out? How do we navigate the endless stream of wellness trends while actually getting results? This is the Work and Wellness Podcast, and I'm your host, Ange Davis. Drawing from my own journey of wins, stumbles, and honest revelations, I'll be bringing you raw, unfiltered conversations with experts and inspiring guests who've been there, lived it, and found a better way. Together, we'll cut through the noise and workshop what it really means to be well in today's workplace. No more choosing between success and sanity. No more sacrificing health for achievement. Whether you're struggling with burnout, searching for purpose, or simply ready to work smarter, not harder, you're in the right place. This is real talk about real solutions for real people. Let's get into it. Hello, friends. Welcome to the show. Today, I really want to talk about something that I believe is really underestimated in business and in our careers, and that's the power of connection. So what made me want to talk about this is last week I attended a conference, and the best thing that I actually got out of that conference was meeting some absolute legends who immediately challenged my thinking, really shared generously some ideas for how I could change a few things in my business. And they expanded my thinking to think a little bit differently about tackling a couple of things that I was tackling in a certain way. And they just asked me the right questions that made me rethink the way I was approaching it. And I really think that we can't ever get that level of quality connection sitting behind a laptop. It has to happen in person. And I think there's something really powerful about being around people who are doing interesting things. I think it sharpens your thinking, it pushes you to look at things differently. And really, I think some of the biggest opportunities in business and in our careers simply come through the power of a conversation. And over the years, over my almost 20 years working, one of the things that I've learned is that success rarely happens in isolation. And sometimes it can be easy to focus on strategy or productivity or execution or skill building, all of which are important. But I think, particularly when I reflect back on my career and also in my business, a huge amount of progress comes through people, because people can introduce you to someone that you don't know. They can recommend you for something, or they can think of you when an opportunity arises, even when you're not in the room. So the power of your connections and your networks is probably one of the most important levers to success in business or in leadership. And I think sometimes these people can open doors for us that we didn't even actually know existed. So if we think about it from a business perspective, thinking of things like referrals, partnerships, collaborations, introductions, those are the things that grow your business. And the more people who understand what you do and trust how you operate, the more your work starts to move through your networks. And basically, it creates more opportunity than marketing alone. I think connection, though, is just as powerful inside organizations, because as a leader, particularly at the start of my leadership journey, one of the things that I underestimated was how much relationships can accelerate progress. Thinking about if you want ideas or projects approved or moved along or support from other teams, the strength of your relationships really matters. And when people know you and trust you and understand how you operate, in organizations, things naturally move faster because it reduces friction. People are more willing to support an idea, or maybe they're more open to collaborating or allocating their team to it. Or maybe they're more likely to prioritize something when they know the person behind it or when they have a relationship with someone. And whether we like it or not, people buy from people. People want to help people. And so if you've got a relationship or a connection with someone, It's human nature to want to help that person over someone who you might not have a connection with. And this is a lesson that I learned very clearly in my career when I switched from one bank to the other. When I was at the first bank, I had been there for many years and I'd worked in multiple roles across HR and then into a strategy and projects team and then did some secondments in frontline business banking. And so I had a really large network within that bank. And I have to say, if I wanted something done, I knew that I'd be able to find someone who I could work with to try and get it done because I had built a reputation of being trusted and the type of work that I do. I would always reciprocate when the time came, and I knew the right person to ask. If I fast forward to going into a different bank where I was in frontline leadership in regional, so I was outside of a city head office, it took me a lot longer to try and get things done because I didn't know who the right person was. It was really difficult to build relationships remotely. So if I wasn't face to face with someone, it just took longer to build those relationships because you're not seeing them in the lift or in the lunch area or able to just go up to their desk and have a conversation with them. And it really started to make me realize the power of in-person face-to-face connection for being able to progress through your career as a leader or to grow your business. Because the reality was I really had the same skill set, capability, work ethic, but suddenly it just became a little bit harder or there was a little bit more friction to getting things done because it required more conversations, more explanation, more helping people understand why it was beneficial to them and also why they should trust me. So it wasn't really anything to do with my capability. It was everything to do with my network. And I think I had taken for granted the amount of people I knew and the relationships that I had in my first bank. Because when people know you, they trust your judgment. And when they've worked with you before, they know how you work and they know that you're the sort of person that will deliver back when they need it as well. So that experience really enforced for me that connection isn't just a social benefit, it's actually leverage. And that's not to say that you should connect with people just for that purpose. I believe in authentic connection, not connection because it's going to get you something, but really authentic connection and understanding people and understanding how you can help them just as much. Because ultimately, it helps you move ideas forward, it helps projects progress. It helps organizations collaborate more effectively. But it also just makes work more enjoyable when you work with people who you know and trust. You don't have to be best friends with them, but it really helps to make your job more enjoyable. And I really want to reinforce that this is not transactional networking. This is not transactional connection building. This is to build real relationships with people because it's also better for our health to have real relationships with people. One of the other things that I was reminded of at the conference last week is how powerful it is to be in rooms of people who challenge your thinking. Because sometimes we can be caught in a little bit of a vortex where we don't encourage other people's challenge and we sort of just get on our path and focus on continuing down that path. That can happen in leadership. It can happen in business ownership. It can happen when you're in your own role. And at the conference last week, the best conversations I had were not where everyone agreed. They were actually where someone asked a question or shared an idea with me that made me think really differently about how I was doing something. And that sort of intellectual challenge is incredibly valuable because it expands our thinking and it reminds us that our perspectives and possibilities are only within our own realm of what we can see. And so sometimes we need to broaden our horizons, get people to ask us the right questions so that we can try and think a little bit differently. And I think it really is about people asking you the right questions. And I'll give a really funny example. One of the legends that I met at this conference, we were looking at each other's LinkedIn bios to sort of get a good understanding of what we did. And she said to me, "Why does your LinkedIn bio say that?" And I said, "I actually don't know." And so sometimes just taking a step back and saying, "Oh, You're actually so right. I haven't even looked at that from an outsider's perspective on how they would view what it said. And so I completely shifted my LinkedIn bio, for example. And if we're not connected on LinkedIn, go find me, Angela Davies. And so I think it really made me think differently about what I put in there and how I could really make it speak to my ideal client. And so those conversations only happen when you really intentionally place yourself in environments where those kind of people are present and when you take yourself out of your comfort zone, because proximity is actually one of the most important things, I think, as we move forward in the world of AI. It's very easy to get caught with our blinkers on, like I said, asking questions of ChatGPT or Claude or any of those AI platforms and forget to take a step back and get people to ask you real questions from their own perspective. As a leader or a business owner, being around people who are ambitious, thoughtful, doing interesting work really helps to elevate our thinking. It stretches what we believe is possible, and it reminds us, like I said at the start, that our businesses or our careers are rarely built alone. They're built through conversations, through relationships, through trust. And so I think if there's really one takeaway from this week, it's not to underestimate the power of connection. It doesn't matter if you're running a business, if you lead a team, if you're building a career, the relationships you build are going to shape the opportunities that come your way. And I have to say, when I got roles in the corporate space, obviously I had to go through the formal part of applying for them, but I was always either encouraged to apply or approached, or it happened through a conversation with someone first. And then I was encouraged to obviously apply formally. And so if you think from that perspective, you're no longer a blank CV applying for a role or for a leadership promotion either. You're a known entity. Naturally, if you know the person, you'll usually get an interview, and that's where you can really bring your authentic self. Whereas at the moment, many CVs are created by AI, they're being screened by AI. And so it's very easy to sort of just become a number. Connection is the way we make a real difference in our careers and our businesses, because the biggest shifts come from a conversation. I truly believe that. And sometimes the right person in the right room can open a door that completely changes what's next for you. So over the next couple of weeks, I encourage you to think about how can you put yourself out of your comfort zone to build some connections? Can you go to an event? Can you reach out to someone from another team to build a connection? How can you grow your network and build your connections authentically so that you can put yourself in rooms where that conversation may open doors for you? Now, it's not to do it to open doors, it's to grow your thinking and your breadth and to truly and authentically connect with people. There were many people in that conference who I didn't connect with because we're not in businesses that make sense for us to connect, and we are not in the same type of industry, or if I'm being really honest, they just weren't my people. And that's okay. Not everyone is going to be your person to connect with, but you'll never know unless you put yourself in a room to figure it out. Sometimes you'll go into rooms and not a single person will be a person. That's okay. All it does is it helps you to get to know yourself better and know the type of people that you do want to connect with. So connect because it helps you to grow and learn and meet really, really cool people. And you never know where it can go. But what I know is it's rarely a CV that gets you a job or an opportunity, and almost always a conversation. So I'd love to hear, write in the comments what your commitment is for this week. Are you going to go and connect? How are you going to do it? What are you going to do? Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me on Work and Wellness. If today's episode resonated with you, remember, someone in your network might need to hear this too. Share it with a colleague or friend who could use these insights. I'd love to keep the conversation going, so find us on Instagram at Mind Your Grit, where we share daily tips and continue these discussions. And if you found value in today's episode, please take time to rate and review the show. It makes such a huge difference and helps other people discover conversations they might really need. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Each week, we're building a community of people who believe that success and well-being go hand in hand. You can find the notes, resources, and links from today's episode at mindyourgrit.com. This is Work and Wellness with Ange Davis. Your work matters, your wellness matters, and this is where it all comes together. See you next week.